Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is March 3rd, 2025, and Barcelona are eyeing and tracking Gabriel Martinelli. Also, Wojciech Szczesny has dropped a hint in regards to his contract renewal. And finally, Lamine Yamal has been nominated to the Laureus Awards. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion, just get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids, K-Bag, or Fanatics. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. Click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers, and you would also be supporting this channel. All right, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of news is several bits of news combined together. Starting with the bad news that Barca Atletic yesterday lost 3-2 against Gymnastic. As you know, Barca Atletic have been doing really bad during this season. In fact, it led to a change of coach where Albert Sanchez was relieved of his duties. He has not been fired. He's going to be found. He's going to find, and they're going to find him a new job within the Barcelona structure. And now there is a new coach for Barca Atletic. And despite the change of coach, of course, unfortunately, the team has lost 3-2, and now they have dropped to last position. They are 20th on the table. Of course, there are two tables in third division. It's like a weird setup where there's two groups or two tables, 20 teams in each group. And then at the end of the season, there's playoffs for relegation and playoffs for promotion. But Barcelona right now are sitting last, dead last, 20 out of 20 in their group in third division. A really bad spot for Barca Atletic to be in. They have only won 4 matches this season, just 4 matches, and they have drawn 13 and suffered 9 losses. A really, really bad season for Barca Atletic, who are risking relegation to fourth division, and that would be a huge blow, of course, for Barcelona. Not so much as far as the team being necessarily relegated, because it is a reserve team. Its only purpose is to develop players for the first team. But it is a big blow because, of course, promising talent like the Fernandez cousins, for example, they're gonna be less likely to want to play in fourth division. So that's gonna become a difficulty for Barcelona as far as retaining young talent and also signing new talent. Because as you know, Barcelona, a lot of times they sign young, promising talent, not for the first team, but they bring them first for Barca Athletic so they can develop, grow, and then they promote them to the first team if they do well. And this, of course, is going to be a little bit more difficult to do if you're in fourth division. Try to convince some young up-and-coming player who's being promised first division for some smaller clubs, and then comes Barcelona. And you're like, okay, yeah, Barcelona's a better club. It's okay if I play for third division with the possibility of playing in first for Barca versus playing in first for a smaller club. But now it's not third division. Now it's fourth division, right? Now you're trying to convince them that playing fourth division is somehow going to be better than playing first division for a smaller club. So that's definitely going to complicate things for Barcelona as far as retaining and signing young, promising talent. So hopefully the new coach can revert things and we can start seeing some results, because right now it's not looking good for Barca Athletic. They are in danger of being relegated, and hopefully that can change. Now, from bad news on to good news, because, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about Deco. Because we, as always say on this channel, we're not here to always criticize someone, but we're also not here to always defend someone, right? When they do something well, we have to give them credit. And when they do something bad, we have to criticize them. So we have to give credit where credit is due. And well, today is the time to give credit where credit is due to Deco, because since his arrival, he has managed to revert things where Barcelona are actually bringing in more money than spending on signings. So we kind of have a net flow as far of signings. That's of course a huge reversal from back under Bartomeu, where we were spending ridiculous amounts on players, 130 million for Dembele, 120 some million for Griezmann and Coutinho, and you name it, and we're spending outrageous amounts on signings, and then a lot of those signings would fail. We would end up selling them for nothing, like Griezmann when we sold them back for 25 million euros. Not to mention the insane salaries that Bartomeu was paying these players, including aging players who are only getting older and older, like Piqué, Busquets, and whose salaries continued to rise rather than shrink as they got older. But now we have a reversal because under Deco, we've actually have a net flow of signings where Barcelona have spent 80 million euros on signings since Deco's arrival and generated 89 million euros on sales of players. So we spent 80 on buying, 89 we made from selling. So we actually have a net flow of 8 million euros. That's, of course, again, a huge win by Deco. And, Barcelona has only spent on 3 signings since his arrival. 47.5 million on Dani Olmo, 2.5 million on Pau Victor, and of course 30 million euros on Vitor Roque, who turned out to be a failed signing, but that's a total of 80 million again versus 89 that Barcelona have made from sales. And let's look at some of the most prolific, most important sales that Barcelona have made. Of course, Vitor Roque. Oh, that's a typo. That's not 22.5. That's 25.5 million euros from his move to Palmeiras. Nico Gonzalez, Barcelona made 22 million euros from his move to Manchester City. Mika Fai, 10.3 million euros. Julian Araujo, 10 million euros. Abde, 7.5 million euros. Margu, 6 million euros. Unai Hernandez, 4.5 million euros from his move to Saudi. And of course, Stanis Pedrola, who moved to the Serie A for 3 million euros. So these are some of the biggest sales that Barcelona have made under Deco. Again, making 89 million euros from sales and only spending 80 million euros on signings. And so that's, of course, very good for Barcelona's accounts. That's the one way to keep the accounts healthy, because if you're bringing in more money than you're spending, of course, you're not going to go into debt like we were under Bartomeu, where we were spending way more than what we were bringing in, not just on signings, but in general. Barcelona were spending more than what they were bringing in, and that's why we ended up with a 1.3 billion euro debt. Absolute insanity. Now, the last bit of news of this segment is in regards the former Barcelona coach and the Barcelona legend, Xavi Hernandez, because it's reported that Xavi has already started thinking about his future. As you know, after being sacked from Barcelona, he decided to take a sabbatical year, a full year off, so he can spend time with his family, because he hasn't stopped. He played his whole life in Barcelona. From there, he started playing in Qatar, and as soon as he was done playing, he started coaching in Qatar, and then from Qatar, he came to Barcelona, started coaching here. So now, he decided to take a year off, but of course that year is coming to an end in the summer. So it's reported that Xavi has already started talking about his future. And in fact, his representatives have already started talks with clubs, and they're saying with clubs in the Premier League. Now, there are also clubs from other leagues interested in him in the Serie A and, of course, Saudi Arabia. But for now, it seems like the talks are mostly advancing with Premier League clubs. We don't know which clubs. And of course, I want to hear you guys' guests. Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section. Who do you think which club in the Premier League do you think is looking to hire Xavi Hernandez? Let me know. What do you guys think? All right, that is all the news from this segment. By the way, I hope I don't offend anyone since I talked about Xavi. Yesterday, someone commented, was like, Xavi left a year ago and you're still mentioning his name. I'm like, yeah, I also mentioned Luis Enrique, and he left 8 years ago. I also mentioned Pep Guardiola, and he left 13 years ago. Hell, I talk about Johan Cruyff all the time, and he left 30 years ago. So I asked him, I'm like, is there an expiration date that I'm not aware of, that we're a point where you're not supposed to talk about previous coaches? I don't know. If you guys know about this expiration date, let me know in the chat section. Of course, it's not really about talking about previous coaches. It's the fact that some people still have some kind of blind loyalty to Xavi Hernández, and for some reason, it's just, I don't know, they get triggered when I talk about him. Why? I don't know. But anyways, let's start with the chat section, and then we are going to talk about Gabriel Martinelli because Barcelona are eyeing the Brazilian. All right, let's see. Nathan says, hi, Mo. Question, how many players is Barca planning to sell this summer, and does that include the players that are on loan? That's a good question. I haven't heard an exact list, but if I were to guess, Christensen is probably going to be one of those players that's going to be offloaded, especially if what's his name, Jonathan Tah ends up coming. They're saying maybe Ferran Torres. If a good offer comes for him, Barcelona will be willing to offload him. And maybe Pablo Torre. You know, Flick is happy with Pablo Torre being on a team, but if Barcelona receive a good offer, they're not going to hesitate because after all, he's not playing. So what's the point of having him on the bench if he's not even going to get any minutes? And then there's Pau Victor. We'll see what Flick says about Pau Victor by the end of the season. If he says, no, I want to keep him, he looks like he has promise and I want to develop him more. Or maybe he says, you know what, I tried the whole season, he sucks, just get rid of him. So those are three names that I can think of on top of my head. Pau Victor, Christensen, and Pablo Torre, because, they're not playing. Anyways, let's do another comment. Jabba the Hutt says, Barca got lucky that they got most of their money back from Roque. Hopefully the club learned this lesson about making bad signings. I hope so too, my friend, because yes, we really did get lucky. Remember, Vitor Roque signed until 2031, is it? And that's a long time to have a player that has failed. Because imagine if Palmeiras wouldn't have come and decided to sign Roque, we would have been stuck with him. He would have probably been bouncing from loan to loan to loan. Maybe eventually some club would have wanted to sign him, but no European club would have paid the money that Palmeiras did. I'm surprised that Palmeiras paid that much money because, Brazilian clubs or clubs from outside of Europe, they don't, unless you're Saudi or some big up-and-coming league, like the J League for a while, not anymore, or China League for a while, but not anymore, the MLS maybe, usually clubs outside of Europe don't pay that much for players. So 25.5 for Roque is a lot of money. So we really, really, really got lucky. So yes, I really hope they learn their lesson because we cannot do this again. All right, let's see. Kaylor Edit says, what's up, Mo? How's your day been? What do you think the score of the first leg will be? Thank you, my friend. My day was busy as usual. Lots of work. It never stops, but I'm here doing what I love, which is talking about Barcelona. As far as the prediction of score, I usually don't like to do it because, I don't know, I feel like I know it's superstitious, but I don't want to jinx it. So maybe I won't pick. Every now and then I'll say, okay, fine, let me predict the score, but my sensation is going to be a lot of goals. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. Adeon says, I met the live stream. Awesome. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. And Mo says, Mo, does the Champions League playoff goals count? If yes, to me, it's not fair because of 2 extra matches. Playoff leagues count? Do you mean like as far as the goal difference? I don't know. That's a good question. But either way, goal difference is not as important anymore. Because before, if you had 2 teams, tied in points, the goal difference would make a difference. But that's not anymore. That's more, whether you beat that team that you're tied in points or not. Then if you did beat them, then you go ahead. And if not, they go ahead. But either way, it doesn't matter, right? This is the knockout stages. So point different. There's no points. So there's no goal. The goal difference doesn't really matter. Now it's just, you win, you qualify, you lose, you go home, right? So it doesn't even matter at this point. All right, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Gabriel Martinelli because Barcelona are eyeing the Brazilian player. Now, as you know, Barcelona are in the market for a left winger. We don't have anyone who's a specialist in that position. Technically, we have Ansu Fati, but as you've seen, he's not even being included in squad lists, let alone being given any minutes. So Barcelona are in the market for a specialist in the left wing. And Gabriel Martinelli, the 23-year-old left winger, has been someone who's been on Barcelona's radar for quite some time. Barcelona were interested in signing him in the past before he joined Arsenal, but of course, when he joined Arsenal, that operation fell apart. But now Barcelona could get a second chance to sign Martinelli, because sources close to Arsenal are saying that Arsenal are considering putting Martinelli on the market in the summer in order to fund other signings that Mikel Arteta would like to make in the summer transfer market. Now, in the case that happens, then Barcelona would be there, or would join the race, I should say, to try to sign Martinelli. Now, what's the problem? The problem is his contract is until 2027, and his market value is 55 million euros. So what does that mean? That means Arsenal are going to want a hefty price. They're not going to let him go for under market value because he still has 2 years on his contract. If it was his last year, maybe. But given that he still has 2 years on his contract come the summer, his market value is 55 million euros. If I were to guess, Arsenal are probably going to want something around 70, maybe 80 million euros for Martinelli, which, of course, it's a lot of money for Barcelona. But either way, if Liverpool, not Liverpool, I always say Liverpool. I always confuse Liverpool and Arsenal. I guess because they both wear red. Well, Manchester United wears red too, but I don't confuse them. But maybe because Manchester United really suck. Anyways, so if Liverpool, here we go again. If Arsenal end up putting Martinelli, Barcelona will be there, of course, in the race. That doesn't mean they're going to be able to sign him, but I'm sure they're going to, make some phone calls, meet with the player and his entourage, call the club. Hey, how much do you guys want? Is there a chance we can negotiate? Talk to the agent. Hey, do you think if you guys put some pressure, we can maybe get a lower price? Barcelona will at least try. Would they succeed in signing him? I don't know. But if Arsenal end up asking for 70, 80 million euros, most likely not. Now, of course, I do want to hear you guys' thoughts. Would you guys like to see Gabriel Martinelli at Barcelona? He is young, 23 years old. Pretty good at dribbling, pretty good at scoring goals. He's improved a lot since he joined Arsenal. He does have a problem with injuries, but would you guys sign Martinelli for Barca? In my opinion, for 80 million euros, no. But if Arsenal wanted less, 30, maybe 40 million, I would say yes, but I just don't see that happening. I don't see Arsenal asking for 30 to 40 million for Martinelli. And then again, this is just for now, this is just press close to Arsenal saying this. We don't even know for sure whether Arsenal are going to put Martinelli on the market or not, but the sources that this is coming from are pretty credible sources. They are reporters who are very close to Arsenal, so most likely than not that this news is true. So again, I ask you guys, would you like to see Martinelli in Barcelona? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section in case you're watching this after it ends. All right, let's do more comments, and then we are going to talk about Wojciech Szczesny because he has dropped a hint in regards to his future. Abdullah says, hi, Mo. For first time, I make it to your live chat. I am watching all the way from Spain. All right, welcome to the live stream, my friend. Thank you for commenting, and let me know what part of Spain are you watching from. And Maz says, Martinelli, never in a million years. Okay. Why? I'm curious to hear why. Texas Transplant says, given the coaching carousel that Chelsea have been on the past few seasons, if Chelsea fails to make top four, my money is on them sacking Maresca and hiring Xavi. That's an interesting point, by the way. Yeah, I think I see that happening. I mean, Chelsea like to change coaches like, I don't know, like my dog likes to change his food. Every time I buy him new food, he eats it for a few days and then he's like, I don't like this. Of course, he's stuck eating what I get him because it doesn't work like that. But yeah, I see that happening. Also, maybe Manchester United, they've been through a carousel of coaches. Maybe they decide to sack Ruben Amorim, even though I doubt it. They really paid a lot of money for his to break his contract. So that's a possibility. But I see Chelsea doing this a lot more than Man U sacking Amorim, especially after all the money that they spent. Let me see. He says, Mo, Neymar just scored a banger of a free kick and he scored from a corner. Do you think Neymar can be a Barca player? Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. Because I started hearing people saying this. Oh, well, have you seen the goals Neymar is scoring? So I went back and started watching minutes of Neymar at Santos. And let's put it this way. Don't watch the highlights, watch the actual matches because they tell two different stories. If you watch the free kick goals, sure, it looks like Neymar is killing it because he's always been a specialist at free kicks. But when you watch the actual minutes of him playing, I mean, this guy cannot even, it's just not the same Neymar. It's a shell of Neymar. He lacks the speed that he used to have. His dribbling skills are not up to par of what he used to be. Can he score goals from free kick? Sure. But you know who also can score goals from free kick and they're absolute bangers? Ronaldinho. If you go watch the highlights of every Barca Legends match, Ronaldinho is still scoring some bangers from free kicks. But does that mean we should hire Ronaldinho? No, absolutely not. Ronaldinho, he's retired. So my advice, if you are watching these highlights and thinking Neymar still got it, my advice would be watch the actual matches. Don't watch the highlights. And they tell a whole different story. Han says, Mo, is there any news about Ansu Fati if he's going to have a chance to play soon? We Barcelona fans want to see Fati back in action. I mean, I think the writing couldn't be any clearer on the wall. And Ansu Fati's done. I think it couldn't be. I mean, he's not even on the bench. He's not even included in the squad at all. Like Hansi Flick, it's not like he's taking him to matches and leaving him on the bench. You're like, okay, he's on the bench. Maybe he'll get. No, he's not even being included. Like, you can't get minutes if you're sitting in the stand. So I think the writing on the wall cannot be any clearer. Flick does not count on Ansu. And I think Ansu's chapter is completely over. Because even under Xavi, at least he was on the bench. You know what I mean? He wasn't playing, but at least he was on the bench. With Flick, guy's not even on the bench. He's not even included. So I think it's pretty clear he's done. Like, he is done. Let's see. Jorge Cerda says, what do you think about bringing Trincao? There's a reason we got rid of him. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. Solitude says, we are a Finnish club if we get Martinelli. I mean, look, I get it if you don't like the player, but a Finnish club because we bring a player sounds a little bit exaggerated. Let's ease up on the hyperboles. Sean says, good night from Trinidad, Bo. You need to come here for Carnival. It's even better than Brazil. And would you start Olmo or Gavi tomorrow? Wow. I did not know that Trinidad had Carnival. So, hey, I'm totally for it. I've actually never been to Carnival in Brazil. Been to Carnival in other South American countries, but never to Brazil. But hey, I'm down, man. I'm always down for a good time. And I've always wanted to visit Trinidad and Tobago. So maybe February, Carnival would be a great time. By the way, and this is very silly of me, I guess, or I should say very American of me because my geography is horrible. But I think this was like 2 or 3 days ago. I was on Google Maps and I was just looking at the maps, just looking at where countries are and stuff. I do that every now and then. And then I realized how close Trinidad and Tobago is to Venezuela. It's literally right next to it. Like, you probably swim. Well, probably not. And this whole time, in my mind, I thought Trinidad and Tobago was up by like Dominican Republic, Haiti, around like more north in the Caribbean. And then I saw the map and I was like, wait a minute. I had no idea that Trinidad and Tobago was so south. It's literally like right next to Venezuela. Like, I was shocked. And I was like, damn. It also made me feel bad because I was like, wow, my geography is really horrible. But anyways, let's get back to the news. Because we do have to talk about Wojciech Szczesny, our Polish goalkeeper, whose contract is set to expire at the end of the season. Of course, Szczesny had retired, but decided to come out of retirement to join Barcelona for 1 season, help out the club after Ter Stegen suffered that horrendous injury that necessitated surgery. And well, there has been a lot of talk lately on whether, Barcelona is considering extending the contract of Szczesny because, of course, they only signed him for 1 season until the end of the season. So June 30th, 2025. And Szczesny was asked, hey, Do you consider renewing with Barcelona? And this is what the Polish goalkeeper said. If you ask me at the start of the season, I'd say I'll be leaving Barca in June. But I love the time I've spent here. My family's happy. My son loves his school. My wife loves being here. I'm open to everything. I'm open to everything. So it looks like Szczesny has changed his mind because, the whole idea of him coming out of retirement, 1 year, help out Barca. Why not? I mean, if Barca calls, you're not going to say no. And then after that, he was planning to go back to retirement, sail into the sunset with his family, have a great time, spend the money that he made. But now he's open to everything. So in other words, he could be open to renewing with Barcelona. Of course, Barcelona has talked to Szczesny's entourage. They've said, hey, if he keeps doing well, we're happy to renew him. Of course, they're going to wait more until the end of the season to see how Szczesny does. And if he continues to do well, then Barcelona are open to renewing him. And now we know the player is open to renewing him too. So there's a good possibility of Szczesny staying past the expiration date of his contract, which is at the end of the season. Now, in my opinion, and I've said this many times before, I think that would be a mistake. Not because there's something wrong with Szczesny. I think we've seen he's an excellent goalkeeper. He had those blunders when he first started playing for Barcelona because he wasn't used to playing against the high line. But he has been improving as far as coming off his line. And, of course, as far as his shot-stopping power, he's always had that. He's always been like a top 10 goalkeeper in Europe. So we always know he was great at stopping shots. But now him coming off the line has improved too. And we've seen that he's an excellent goalkeeper. So it's not that I have something against him as a goalkeeper, but I think it would be a mistake for two reasons. The first reason is the same reason why I said in the past that I think that the signing of Luis Diaz will be a mistake. Not because Luis Diaz sucks or anything. I think he's an incredible winger. But I said his age, right? Because Luis Diaz is 28, and that's not old at all. That's prime years. That means if Luis Diaz comes to Barcelona, he's gonna give us his best football yet because he's in his prime. But the problem I said was that we had Rafinha, who's the same age, 28. So you have two players for the same position who are 28 years old. They're both gonna age at the same time. That means they're both gonna get old at the same time. And next thing you know, you have two players who are old. So now you have to make two signings instead of one to replace the two old players, right? Again, not now, 28 is young, but when they turn 32, 33, they're going to turn 32, 33 at the same time. And now you're going to have to get rid of two of them at the same time and have to sign two new players in their place at the same time. And that doesn't make sense to me. If you have a player in his prime who's 27, 28, that second signing should be someone who's much younger, someone who can grow and develop. So when the guy, your starter who's in his prime, becomes old, that younger guy can take his place. And then you sign another young guy. And when this guy becomes old, boom, this guy takes his place. And it should be kind of like a conveyor belt of players, right? When one gets old, the next one takes his place, and the same thing and the same thing. So it doesn't make sense to sign two players the same age for the same position because they're both going to get old at the same time, and now you're stuck with zero players. So I think the same situation applies here with Szczesny. Again, not that I think he's a bad goalkeeper. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. But Mark ter Stegen is also, I think he's 33 or 32, and Szczesny's 34. That means in 2-3 years, they're both going to be done. And then what do you do? The more sensible thing to do, if you want to sign a goalkeeper, which I also don't think we should sign a goalkeeper, is to sign someone younger. So when ter Stegen gets old, that younger goalkeeper can take his place. So that's why I say it will be a mistake. The second reason why I think renewing Szczesny will be a mistake is because it would curtail the growth of Diego Kochen and Iker Rodriguez in the academy. Because those two guys are thinking, okay, ter Stegen is the starter, but he's getting older. Eventually, the spot is going to open up. So I'm going to work hard, train hard. I'm going to stay here because I think that spot could be mine. But now you sign Szczesny, and now the two of them are like, okay, well, looks like we're not going to be second goalkeepers because there is a second goalkeeper. His name is Szczesny. So what am I doing here? And one of them might end up leaving, maybe even both. So I think it would be a mistake. Again, nothing against Szczesny. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. I think he's doing absolutely amazing at Barca. But it would be a mistake because of his age and because of ter Stegen is almost the same age as well. Now, speaking of Szczesny doing amazing, which again, I think he's doing amazing. I don't think he's a bad goalkeeper. He has been absolutely unbeaten. You know what I mean? Clean sheets. I mean, Barcelona has not lost while Szczesny was under the post. Since debuting against Barbastro in Barcelona's victory 4-0 in La Copa del Rey, Szczesny has started in 13 matches, out of which 11 matches Barcelona have won and only 2 matches where Barcelona have drawn. So since Szczesny has become the starting goalkeeper, Barcelona has not lost a single match. And again, that's a testament that he is doing great. So again, it's nothing against him or how great he's doing. I just think if you're going to sign a goalkeeper, it should be someone younger, not someone older. Plus, again, I don't think we need to be signing goalkeepers anyway because we have Cochen and Iker Rodriguez in the academy. And even Astralaga is a good second goalkeeper. But as far as future first goalkeeper, Cochen, I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. All right, let's get back to the comment section or chat section, and then we will talk about Lamine Yamal. Street Fighter says getting Martinelli is better than getting Neymar. So no truth to Neymar rumors. I'll talk about it in the next video. But Barcelona not looking to sign Neymar, thank God. So Mr. Misterio says, any news on Jonathan David anymore? Jonathan David is not an option anymore. I've made several videos about this. But Barcelona stopped considering Jonathan David since the winter transfer market because they don't think he would fit. He's a center forward that Barcelona consider thrives when he has a lot of space, but doesn't thrive when there's very little space. And as you know, most of the teams that Barcelona play against are teams that bark the bus and that leave no space in the back. So if you have a center forward that doesn't know how to play in closed spaces, it means that most of the games Jonathan David is going to suffer because most games that Barcelona play against teams who leave no space in the back line. All right, let's see. Abdullah says, I am watching from Spain around Valencia, but support Barcelona. All right, Valencia. I hope you're safe, my friend. I know the rain storms were, I think, a couple of months ago. I know it was pretty bad, but I hope you're fine, my friend. I hope you're fine. Let's see. On 20 says, stop speaking on Neymar. You hate. I don't hate, my friend. It's reality. Neymar he's done. He's finished. If you can't see that, that's your problem. Doesn't make me a hater. You're just in denial. Mohammed says, I'd take a free Neymar over Martinelli. Oh, God, no. Let's see. Uh-oh. This thing moved on me. There we go. David says, good morning, Mo. Please, I want to know if Barcelona is still interested in signing Nico Williams, the name Pizza Jr. from Ghana. The interest has cooled off. Let's put it that way. Barcelona have not completely closed the chapter on Nico Williams, but the interest has cooled off. Barcelona are not as interested in Nico as they were last summer. Okay? All right, hold on. Let me block this guy who won't stop spamming. There we go. All right. No spamming, guys, please. I know you want to get your comment in there. That's fine. I'm more than happy to read it. But when you're just spamming, it's just not fair for other people who also want to get their comment read, and you're just drowning them in your comments, in your spam. But yeah, Nico Williams, it's cooled off. Let's put it that way, because he honestly effed up. Because when the Barcelona train comes, or when the Real Madrid train comes, or when Liverpool train comes, you better hop on. And that's not a train that you say, no, thank you, I'll wait until next season, because those trains don't come back. So I really think Nico effed up. And as a result, now Barcelona's interest has cooled off. Barcelona are scouting the market for other alternatives. If Barcelona cannot come out with any other alternatives, I'm sure they're still going to consider Nico Williams because of his age and price. You know, he is pretty young, so has a high ceiling to improve. And his release clause is, 58 million euros, which is pretty affordable for someone his age. But let's say he's not a priority anymore. Anyways. All right, let's get back to the news, because we do have to talk about Lamine Yamal, because, ladies and gentlemen, our young star has quiet the haters. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Madridistas, being the crybabies that they are, lately cannot stand the fact that there's a guy who's only 17 years old named Lamine Yamal who's absolutely destroying their team and destroying everyone else, really, at only 17 years old. And he happens to be a Barca player. And because they can't stand what Lamine Yamal is doing, of course, we've seen so much talk with our social media or Madrid TV programs about how, Lamine is not good because he doesn't score goals. The same retarded argument that we've seen before, like, Penaldo's better than Messi because he has more goals, as if goals is the only metric by which a player is measured, and you can tell that these people either don't watch football, because if you watch football, you would see what Lamine does and you would realize how good he is, even if he doesn't score goals. I mean, take a great look at a great example is take a look at the first goal of Barcelona against Real Sociedad, right? The goal scored by Gerard Martin. That goal is mostly thanks to Lamine Yamal because he grabs the ball, he dribbles past 3 defenders and goes into the box and then passes it to Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo passes it to Gerard Martin. That goal under the statistics, they're going to count under Gerard Martin. That's his goal. The assist is going to go to Dani Olmo. Lamine Yamal is not going to figure anywhere on the stats because of that goal, but yet it's thanks to him that goal happened to begin with, right? So this whole he doesn't score that many goals, so he sucks, is just an idiotic and moronic argument. But Lamine Yamal was asked about, the whole stats and scoring goals, and this is what the youngster had to say about, there we go, about the subject. I believe the key is to focus on yourself and always do what is best for the team. I am not a player who pays much attention to stats. I play to enjoy myself, to make the fans happy, and of course, to win. I do not compare my numbers with others. When I watch a football match, I want to see exciting plays, dribbles. That is what I try to bring when people come to watch us play, to make it fun. In the end, if I enjoy myself, the fans will too. So bravo, Lamine Yamal, quieting the haters with this simple statement. Say, look, I don't care about the stats. I'm not here to compare my stats to anyone. I just want to have fun, enjoy myself, and more importantly, make the fans enjoy themselves. Because you think the fans are going to care that Lamine Yamal didn't score that first goal against Real Sociedad? No, the fans were ecstatic because they just watched Lamine Yamal pretty much walk into Real Sociedad box like there was no one there, leaving defenders on the ground as he did it. That's what the fans want to see. I mean, sure, great. We are going to celebrate the goal that Gerard Martin scored, but what are people more excited about? The goal, the assist, or what actually Lamine Yamal did to create the assist and the goal? Of course, what Lamine Yamal did, and that's what the fans want to do. This is what Lamine Yamal gives us, and at the end of the day, if he's enjoying himself and we're enjoying ourselves, that's all it matters. And whether these crybaby Madridistas want to tell us that Lamine sucks because he doesn't score goals, that just tells me 2 things. Either one, you're absolutely clueless about football, so you shouldn't watch it, just watch another sport. Or number 2, you know that deep down that this is true, that just because he doesn't score goals, it doesn't mean that he sucks, but you're just simply lying to yourself. And honestly, I don't know which one is sadder, the fact that you're clueless or the fact that you're lying to yourself. I mean, it's gotten so bad that there's people who are comparing Lamine Yamal with Arda Güler. Arda Güler. Saying that Arda Güler is better than Lamine. Arda Güler, guys. We're talking about Lamine Yamal, a cornerstone of the Spanish national team, who thanks to him, they won a Euros. And we're talking about Lamine Yamal, a cornerstone of Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And they're comparing him to Arda Güler, a substitute. That's how pathetic these people are. So again, they're either completely clueless or they're just simply lying to themselves. And I don't know which one is worse. You tell me. But speaking of Lamine Yamal, who again continues to quiet the haters, he has been nominated. I'll make this bigger. Actually, really bigger so you can read it. But he has been nominated to the Laureus Awards World Breakthrough Talent for the year 2025. As you can see, there's the list of all the nominees. There's Julian Alfred from St. Lucia. There's Bayer Leverkusen. I didn't know a whole team can be nominated, but apparently they can. Summer McIntosh from Canada. Letziel Tibego from Botswana. Victor Wem. I can never say his name. Wembanyama from France. And then finally, Lamine Yamal from Spain at 17 years old. He's already been nominated to the Laureus Awards, which, if you don't know what they are, they're pretty much the Ballon d'Or, but for all sports. So if winning Ballon d'Or is the biggest honor in football, well, winning the Laureus Award is the biggest honor in the world of sports. So an amazing accomplishment by Lamine Yamal, who, by the way, is undergoing a special training and diet regimen because, as some of you might know, it is Ramadan. If you don't know what Ramadan is, it's the holy month for Islam. Lamine Yamal is Muslim, and during Ramadan, Muslims fast, and you have to fast from sunrise to sundown, and that means everything, not just food, water, you name it. You cannot eat or drink anything during sunrise to sundown. So Lamine Yamal is, of course, fasting, and therefore he is undergoing a special diet and training regimen, so his body can adapt. Because can you imagine playing elite football for 90 minutes without having a drop of water or any food? It's tough. All right, that is all that news for this podcast. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat section. Zimo says Yakabashvili is better than Kochen. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but if it is, either way, the point stands, right? Whether it's Yakabashvili or Kochen or Iker Rodriguez, we have plenty of talent in the academy as far as goalkeepers. So this is why I think that renewing Szczesny would be a mistake, because it would curtail the growth of those youngsters, whether it be Yakabashvili or Kochen or whomever, right? So this is why I think we don't need a goalkeeper signing. We don't. We have plenty. Sean says, if I was Xavi, I would sign for Newcastle, less stress, and I think Marsh has taken them as far as he can. Interesting. Texas Transplant says Martinelli's last 5 matches ratings where he's played 80 minutes or more have been 7.4, 6.4, 8.5, 7.0, and 5.9 with a goal and an assist. Not prime Barca numbers, but Flick has improved players with less. True. Plus, let's not forget, he's only 23. So he still has plenty of room to grow. He was in his prime, 26, 27. I'll be like, okay, there's very little chance that he improves. But with Flick, it seems that even players in their prime improve, like Rafinha, right? Rafinha, usually players that age, they don't improve. They have reached their maximum output, but under Flick, we're seeing night and day Rafinha, so who knows? But would I pay 70, 80 million euros? Definitely a no. Rick Band says, hello from England. If you were in Deco's position, which area would you prioritize strengthening, and who would be your top candidate for that role? Ooh, good question. I think the left wing. We just can't ignore it. And of course, the fullback positions are also important. But at least in the fullback positions, we have players, right? We have Koundé and we have Balde, who are both absolutely top-notch, excellent players. We don't have subs for them, proper subs, but at least we have the starters. In the left wing, we don't have a starter. Sure, we have Rafinha. Don't get me wrong. He's absolutely amazing, but he's not a left winger, right? Just because he's doing great there doesn't mean that doesn't make him a left winger. He's just not a left winger. So we need someone for that left wing position. And I think as far as realistic options right now, there just aren't many because of our financial situation. I mean, there are plenty of youngsters that Barcelona could afford, for example. But as far as someone who is ready, I think Nico Williams really is the only realistic chance to sign a left winger who has experience and who could start on day one. That would be the only realistic. And of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that we would have to bench Rafinha. I wouldn't bench Rafinha. Rafinha is doing amazing. But I think for certain matches, you could, right? Because Rafinha really thrives when there is space behind the defenders, because he's really good at making those runs, and he's so fast and he doesn't stop running. So I think for those matches, sure, we can have Rafinha, but for matches where they're doing a low block defense, where Rafinha just doesn't have that space to run to the back of the defenders, I think that's a good chance where you can bring in Nico and maybe not even start him. Maybe you can have him on the bench and then try a Rafinha against a low block. And if Rafinha's not working out, you bring him out, you bring in Nico, and you try to unlock that low block with Lamine on one side and Nico on the other, dribbling and try to stretch the block so you have players who can run through the middle. I think that would be, a good option to have. Charles says, I'm Charles from Nigeria. My first time on the live. You are doing a great work, Mo. Lamine is destined for great things. Amen, my friend. He really is destined for great things. To me right now, he is the greatest player in the world. And that's crazy because he's 17. But to me, he has reached that level already. Even though he hasn't won anything, technically, he's only won the Spanish Super Cup. But I really think he is the greatest player right now. No doubt. Mustafa says, just finished suhoor. Happy Ramadan to all. Happy Ramadan to you, my friend. And Solitude says, against a low block, play Rafinha centrally, Lamine on right, and potentially Nico on the left. Yeah, again, there's options. Just because I've seen people say, oh, we shouldn't sign a left winger because we have Rafinha and he's doing great. And yeah, we have Rafinha and he's doing great. But, signing a left winger doesn't necessarily mean that you would have to bench Rafinha. Like I said, you can have Rafinha start. And then if it's not working because the low block, then you can bring in Nico. Or like Solitude just said, have Rafinha played in the attacking midfield position. We've seen him do great in that position too. And then, with Rafinha, with Lamine and Nico or whoever can come and can dribble on the left, stretching the block because now you have two dribblers. And therefore, automatically, the other team is going to have to send more defenders to mark those two dribblers. So that automatically is going to create spaces in the middle. And bam, there's Rafinha who can make those runs in his sleep. Right? So you don't have to bench Rafinha if you sign a left winger. All right, let's see. What else? Katana of Justice says, stats will come for sure later. Yamal is great. I trust him forever. Absolutely. I mean, Yamal is only 17 years old. He is nowhere near how good he could be. Like, he's only 17. Like, this is not even the best version of Lamine that we're seeing. His best version is not going to come until he's 25, 26. Which is 8-9 years from now. So can you imagine what he's going to look like in 9 years? I mean, that's going to be crazy. So, of course, yeah, he's 17. He's only going to keep getting better and better. He's going to improve his finishing and, the goals will come. And even if he doesn't, I mean, what he does on the field is way more important than being able to score goals because it's thanks to what he does is that other players like Lewandowski and Rafinha and everyone else can score goals. It's thanks to him. So even if the goals don't come, the fact his ability allows others to score. So he doesn't need to score because he creates the chances for others to score. But I mean, I'm sure the goals are going to come. But like I said, even if they don't, it's not a big deal. All right, let's see what else. Adeshile David says, Bo, David Adeshile from Nigeria, presently in Kenya. I do listen to your program. Very fantastic. This is my first time on your platform. Bisca Barca, my friend. Welcome. And thank you for joining. And Joe says, Szczesny is a free transfer. That's not the same scenario as signing a player for big money and having to worry about replacement costs. Right, but I'm not talking about the money. My concern with Szczesny is not the money. My concern with Szczesny is, like I said, the 2 points of you're signing a player that's older than your already existing goalkeeper. So now you have to worry about two goalkeepers aging and having to replace two goalkeepers rather than just one. And B, because he would curtail the growth of goalkeepers like Cochen, Iker Rodriguez. So I'm not talking about the money. It's not a money issue. It's those 2 points, right? Ben says, sometimes Lamine and Nico on the wings. Rafinha as a 10 would also be crazy, doing good work. Oof, man. Can you imagine that? Lamine and Nico and Rafinha. That would be one hell of an attacking trio. And then if anyone, if Rafinha gets tired of bringing Dani Olmo and you keep going, it'd be insane. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. I will be uploading another video in a little bit, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, peace, cars.